Over the next 5 years, one of the largest challenges that businesses are going to face is cybersecurity. Sustainability is also a problem and something that decision makers and C-level individuals within organizations are key to change. We have baked in ransomware protect encryption end-to-end, at rest and in-flight data. So Lenovo makes AI accessible right out of the box. So Neptune uses kind of a direct-to-node warm water cooling to remove heat more efficiently from the device. Ultimately allows for denser configurations and higher performance and lower energy consumption.
Hi, welcome to Smarter Strategic Thinking. Today we have Tim Brazier from Lenovo. And welcome and thanks for coming.
Thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
What's your primary role in Lenovo?
I'm the UKI Data Storage Solutions Specialist. It covers quite a broad part of Lenovo's portfolio, including our data management appliances, but also hyperconvergent software-defined storage and some of the services that are part of that structure as well.
From a business perspective, what's the biggest challenges that businesses are going to face over the next 5 years?
That's a great question. Certainly over the next 5 years, I think that one of the largest challenges that businesses are going to face, and something that keeps cropping up in our news headlines all the time, is cybersecurity. So there's a growing sophistication and frequency of threats that are coming in for businesses around cybersecurity. And at the moment, from a defense perspective, organizations are struggling to keep up. So implementing AI to help them maintain a level of defense versus the threat actors is becoming a challenge. Next to that, of course, where companies are using data analytics and AI, we're having a data overload problem. So creating large amounts of data from every facet of the organization, including at the edge and on people's devices. So the type of data, how to store it, and how to use it is becoming a challenge for organizations as well. Sustainability is also a problem and something that decision makers and C-level individuals within organizations are key to change, especially with all the new green programs and regulations that are coming out from local governments. Yeah, absolutely. So where we're trying to develop greener practices and apply that to our IT to create a more sustainable future for our IT environments. And then I suppose the final one in that kind of covers all those elements is workforce transformation. So there's a real need to educate and skill up our workforce in order to be able to utilize all these new features and processes that are coming through. So where organizations are using AI to increase productivity, how do I integrate that into my day-to-day job and my workflows within the organization? So skilling up and training of our workforce is probably the final kind of piece of that puzzle, as it were.
What solutions can Lenovo provide to help alleviate some of these problems?
We at Lenovo we're helping businesses tackle these challenges head on with a number of different strategic partnerships, products and services that are available from Lenovo. So from a cybersecurity perspective, we have baked in ransomware protection facilities, certainly within our storage, encryption end-to-end, so at rest and in-flight data as well. And let's not forget that our ThinkShield portfolio, which also covers all our client device business as well, offers end-to-end protection from pocket to data center and to cloud thereafter as well. So it's really important that we focus in on those particular elements that are going to lock down things like this, but also our mobile devices and our storage and our backups and archives, which might get targeted. So to manage things like data growth, we provide AI-ready infrastructure as well. So we optimize and are developing solutions that sit in that sort of HPC and AI workspace where we can adopt, for want of a better word, say a more optimized approach to data consolidation in that space. So ultimately, we can reduce the footprint of hardware, but also reducing latency and improving efficiency is the key. We developed those as solutions. From a sustainability front, Lenovo is leading with energy efficient devices, recycled materials, and one of our biggest is our CO2 offset service. So this lets customers offset the carbon footprint of their devices at the point of purchase. So that's quite important for a number of our organizations. We can do that across client and infrastructure products as well. And then if we think about the final problem of workforce transformation, we see this as a service kind of model becoming more prominent in today's world, where everything is kind of moving to a subscription-led business. I mean, if we look at our TV services, our mobile services, or even our gaming services now, for the gamers out there, are all leading to this subscription. So we can kind of deliver those as a service functions within the data center as well, which actually takes the need for having that management capability away and just allows you to scale and grow and manage as appropriately. And Lenovo aligns services and service managers, customer success managers, to those functions in order to support that with the customer. So they'll always have what they need when they need it, and it can scale up or down.
How can businesses protect themselves using Lenovo from a cyber attack?
That's a big question. So it's tricky, because what we should all be planning to do, there's a great framework out there called the NIST 2.0 Cybersecurity Framework, or CSF for short. But it's a fantastic guideline in helping us deliver solutions that cover a customer from a secure by design hardware platforms. So Lenovo devices will come in with built-in protection or baked-in protection for ransomware, like self-healing BIOS. It's secure boot, hardware-based encryption. So if we looked at the DM or DG platforms, for example, from Lenovo, which are powered by a Lenovo Unified Complete Storage Operating System, which is based on ONTAP. So the functions and features in there, you've got things like multi-admin verify, so you can prevent any maladmins from or threat actors that are logging in through an admin login from doing anything funny with the data. We have AI-powered autonomous ransomware protection baked into those systems as well. And that works at a AI pace in order to make sure that it's working at the peak efficiency in terms of detection and prevention on the box as well. So there is a lot of functions and features that are being baked into the systems themselves to start with. And this is to prevent any blind spots across your infrastructure. And again, from pocket to cloud. And we'll use that because Lenovo is one of the few organizations that actually has end-to-end from cloud to pocket infrastructure capability. So it's important that we protect our customers that are utilizing all those functions and features at whatever level. The second thing that people can do is adopt a zero trust architecture. So that boils down to verifying every user, every device, and every application, no matter where these things might be located. It's really important because there's the threat actors, if they wish to target you, will be looking for any vector that they can use to get into that organization. So adopting zero trust means you can prevent any gateway from opening up within that organization. And all these things are really designed to stop you from becoming the next headline, which we all want to do, because the problem is that once you've done that and you've lost that trust in the public eye, it then becomes a problem. So the future of the business then becomes a bit wobbly at that particular point. So the third thing actually is something that's reasonably simple to achieve, but you'd be surprised how many don't do this, which is ensuring regular patching and updates. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when you look at infrastructure, and I've been into, in my career, I've been into a fair few data centers where they're running several patches behind. It's really important that we maintain up to date on all our devices to ensure we have the most up-to-date security features, but also activity and identifiable file extensions in order to support those systems in the devices. And I suppose the last point is, which is the biggest point of attack in an organization, is educating our workforce. Lenovo does this on a fairly regular basis, where it will just test the workforce. It will send out a fake phishing email, and we'll see who clicks it and who doesn't. If you report it as phishing, congratulations, well done, you've succeeded. If you and it's easy to do, so this is not a fault of the individuals because it's targeted. So, and we have to be aware that the ransomware organizations that are looking to target our companies will be looking for a specific person at a specific time in order to attack at that point. when are they most vulnerable? When are they most likely to click that link or whatever, or download that application or that file that they might need? So educating our workforce on the cyber threats that are out there is prominent. So in Lenovo, everybody who got it wrong gets subjected to a 1-hour cybersecurity online training course in order to go back and refresh our training on what we should be looking out for. Then basic things like, who did it come from? What is it asking us to do? Where does the link go? If it's just got to click here and it's linked, you can identify, if you hover over that link, it will tell you where it's going to take you. If you don't recognize that site, delete that email.
You don't ask for that.
Exactly. I didn't ask for that report. I don't know what this report is. So, that's usually a fairly good indicator, but they're getting smarter. So we have to make sure that we continuously update our education in order to support those functions, and preventing that vector into our business, and just to shut that down. So Lenovo has a kind of a security branding called ThinkShield, and everything that comes underneath ThinkShield solutions are designed to support kind of all those pillars of protection. So ultimately, Lenovo can give businesses the peace of mind, and again, end to end, and I'll probably touch on this quite a bit because it's an important part, in an increasingly hostile digital world. And it's not slowing down. So we have to speed up. Where AI is being used as both the attack and the defense mechanism, we have to make sure that they can at least parry each other.
From our perspective as a Lenovo partner, what services to a new potential customer can Lenovo provide to analyze their infrastructure and point out some failings within their design?
So there's a number of ways to go about that. From a cybersecurity perspective, the easiest way is to do NIST2 framework assessments. So Lenovo, as part of our cyber resiliency services, allows you to do an assessment that will ultimately identify any potential shortfalls in your security measures within the organization from an infrastructure perspective. It will highlight where you're doing really well, but also where improvements can potentially be made and how you might want to make those improvements. Next to the obvious framework assessment, which are fantastic, by the way, that follows that framework of identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, which are the key factors within any kind of cybersecurity framework. But we have Premier Support Services as well. So Premier Support Services, they kind of allow access to elite level technicians within Lenovo to support all their devices as well. And again, this is offered on both clients and infrastructure within Lenovo's portfolio. So these individuals can diagnose and resolve all kind of hardware issues quickly, whether that's a patching issue or a function issue or a software issue that comes with the Lenovo systems as part of those overall brandings. So that can be done either remotely or on site, depending on kind of the level of support. So again, we have a number of services which can be proactive, predictive, and personalized to the customer's requirement in order to support them, depending on the level of or capability of the customer themselves. So the customer might want to handle most of that, depending on the data they're handling, might want to handle quite a lot of it in-house, simply because the critical data is under regulatory compliance, in which case you wouldn't want a third party looking at it or the vendor looking at it for any particular reason. That's fine. We'll work with you. I suppose in more complex environments, we have managed services team that can provide full stack monitoring and diagnosis of issues, and they can do that proactively as well. So, for example, if you have a Premier Enhanced Storage support, for example, you'll have what's called a TAM, or a technical account manager, assigned to that level, and he will be monitoring your support infrastructure, your storage infrastructure, and when you reach a point of potential capping or performance reduction because you're overloading the storage or you're putting too much on it, then it'll prompt a call with the customer, a proactive call to say, you're reaching the cap that we set at the beginning of this agreement. Can we talk about either expanding your storage, either a scale out cluster, for example, if it's on DM and DG, or expanding into another area, and give recommendations on a data storage perspective of how they can start to fix and address those particular issues as well. So it's all encompassing really from that perspective, and it all comes underneath those Lenovo sort of services support groups as well.
Can you outline what a cyber resiliency plan looks like?
Yeah. So this will be different for each organization. So it depends on how that appears. It's really important that we develop our cyber recovery plans independently to our disaster recovery plans. So disaster recovery, or DR, covers a much broader aspect of failure, whether it be drive failures or device failures or whole data center failures.
And it's quite well understood, isn't it?
Very well understood. Organizations have been doing DR for a long time, and Lenovo has software partners that we work with, such as Veeam, Commvault, and Cohesity, that do an immaculate job of building and supporting that. Even the replication facilities and snapshot facilities that are built into our DM and DG devices do recovery extremely well. So we've got that box ticked. So developing the cyber recovery plan, it could fit inside your DR plan, but really should be developed independently and nowhere stored. So it's more about it's more than just preventing attacks, but about sort of surviving and thriving and maintaining business continuity thereafter as well. So the kind of things that you're going to want to go through are risk assessing, so understanding what assets are most valuable and where your vulnerabilities lie. So this is where that framework assessment comes in really handy, because it can identify where you might have a blind side within your organization or vulnerability. Incident response, so having a clear tested plan for how to respond to breaches, including who to contact, how to isolate the systems, how to communicate with stakeholders as well. So remember that when it comes to a cyber incident, you've got 3 key things to worry about. How do I stand my business back up? How do I address the PR? And then if I'm under a ransomware attack, am I paying it or not? Those are the 3 kind of key scenarios that someone might want to address. So backup and recovery, we do that really well. So we have that box ticked. Ensure you have secure, redundant backups and a tested sort of disaster recovery plan in order to support that. It's really important that when you do the recovery, you're not just moving the malware from your backup archives into production again. So having somewhere in between, like a vault or a air-gapped solution that allows you to test data for malware before putting it back into production is critical to that path. Whether you do that in the cloud or on a premises or however you wish to do that, Lenovo has a route forwards with our partners in order to create a solution that identifies those spaces. And then continuous improvement. So as cyber threats and cyber incidents continuously evolve, and we alluded to this earlier, where the frequency and sophistication of attacks is ever increasing, we have to keep up. And we can only do that through continuously testing our infrastructures and our people. So our plans keep up. Regular audits, penetration testing, and employee training should all be a part of that plan. But ultimately, who's responsible for it? What role do they play, and how do you communicate should be front of mind for all those things. Otherwise, your time to recovery could be much, much longer. If you've got a number of people running around the business with their hair on fire because you're under attack, someone needs to take the reins and lead from the front and say, right, this is how we're going to do it. And have an accurate communication plan, because if your IP phones have gone down, how are you going to communicate with the individuals that need to be tasked? So who's involved? What tasks do they do? How are you going to communicate, and how fast are you going to move, and what needs to happen? So shut down all unnecessary systems in order to make sure that you focus on the jobs that need to be done. So Lenovo can work with businesses, I've done on a number of occasions, to build and maintain this type of a plan. And then we can start to use that ThinkShield framework and sort of the consulting services available from Lenovo, again, through our framework assessments, in order to support those organizations. And again, prevent them from being the next headline. If we look at our latest headlines, where we've seen, a good cyber recovery plan could save you that £300 million or those 6.5 million users.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's quite interesting how, as you alluded to, what Co-op said yesterday in the news about their, they got attacked in April, and then you came to like yesterday, they'd lost 6.5 million users' data. So, there is, whereas Marks and Spencer's also got attacked, and they're both household names, and they tackled it completely differently.
They did, yeah. I mean, Marks and Spencer's transparency was on point. And although it probably didn't buy them any favors, it did help to understand that these things happen, right? Large organizations are targeted and under threat all the time. So I couldn't begin to imagine the amount of attacks that they must bat off on a fairly regular basis. And just when one gets through, it tends to hit quite hard. Interestingly enough, that they've made an arrest in several arrests.
Yes.
With regards to both Co-op and Marks and Spencer's. Not sure if it's the same people that hit Harrods, but it'll be interesting to see the net result of this. But I think the length of time that it's taken Co-op to step forwards and say we've lost some data hasn't done them any favors. And I think people will think twice about signing up for those store cards, or I mean personally, I don't sign up for them. I don't have any store cards at all, but that's not to say that they're a bad thing. It's just I think we need to be more transparent about how and why and where we store that data securely, rather than potential for outsourcing or multiple divisions that don't necessarily collaborate internally. So
we've also alluded to, in the cyber resiliency plan, these organisations could have outsourced some of their data processing to third parties, and how do they come into this plan?
Well, it's just another vulnerability, isn't it? So you need to address that in the same way that you would assess any risk within a business. So how does that data move from the front end systems where it's created to the data outsourcing organizations, if they're using one? I'm not saying that they are, but if they're using one, how is that data then transferred? Is it encrypted? Where does it stored? Is it encrypted? How is that? Is there multi-admin verify on the storage systems that exist with there? There's a number of things that you can do just to make sure, and that's part of that risk assessment plan. So any good risk assessment, what's the potential risk? What's the outcome? How do we address that? Have we got a number of functions? And if it all goes Pete Tong, how do we?
Yeah, do our outsourcers meet this criteria?
Exactly. So it's down to us. And Lenovo as part of ThinkShield, we actually have this secure supply chain function as well. So we lock down everything from our suppliers all the way down through to our individuals and sellers. It's down to the individual organizations. It's not going to help. You're still the front of house. So let's take Co-op, for example, and it was they couldn't get their suppliers to ship in the food, and their shelves ran out and all this kind of stuff. It's not. Yes, it is the supplier's responsibility, but as the organization that's buying that and stocking your shelves, your supply chain is your responsibility. Everything is your responsibility. The buck stops with you. So it's no good just pointing a finger anymore and saying it's not my fault, it's their fault, because once that public relations trust is lost, it takes a long time to recover. Now, of course, like my little town out in Gloucestershire, we're pretty much Co-op owned. We've only got Co-op, so we haven't got much choice.
Look out for Tim.
But to buy their products, and I don't have a problem with that. Food is food. It comes from the supermarket. It's not an awful price, so I'm okay with that. But it's just a case of making sure that you're responsible with your data end to end is the key. Make sure that it's part and built into your recovery plan, and you understand where it is and how it's stored at all times. If it's in the cloud, I mean, cloud can. There's a big hoo-ha about insecure cloud, which is not technically true. Cloud is very secure as well. So, but you have to make sure that you implement a number of different functions in order to lock that down. Is it geofenced? So what I mean by that is if a cloud infrastructure for some reason goes down, is it suddenly going to migrate out of country? In which case I become and compliant with a number of data regulatory sources. So those are the kind of things that you want to address. Again, end to end. Make sure that that data is secure, at rest and in flight, no matter where it sits within your organization, even if it's outsourced, because it's your responsibility. You're creating that data. It then becomes your responsibility to manage that data appropriately. So we can help you do that, but we have to have a fairly lengthy conversation about where it sits and what you want to do with it. So Lenovo, through our security frameworks and through our security consultancy services, can help achieve results in that space.
The current industry buzzword is AI. Everything's AI at the moment. Every event I attend, it's AI.
AI, it's all up there.
What systems is Lenovo developing from an AI perspective?
So I suppose AI is not new.
No.
I was programming AI back at university in 2003, some time ago. So it's not a new thing. But so AI is no longer the buzzword. It's more of a business enabler. So how can I use AI to further my business and increase revenues, profits, or KPIs, or whatever it is that you want to target with that stuff? So Lenovo makes AI accessible right out of the box for those organizations who want to go down that road. Things like our ThinkStations and ThinkPad workstations, or P-Series workstations, are optimized for AI development. They have powerful GPUs, large memory capacity, and ISV certifications in order to support those functions. So even from a personal client device, we can start doing that. We have AI-ready edge devices and AI starter kits for our data centers. So if people want to do LLMs or generative AI solutions in-house and not quite sure where to start, then we have kits developed with a number of GPU systems baked into them to support that. So recently, as part of our announcement on the 23rd of April, we refreshed our entire storage line. But what we did with that storage line is actually we made these what we call hybrid AI starter kits. And they're to support the sort of hybrid 285 platform. So that's the 2 CPU, the 8 GPU, the 5 network adapter platform that we see from NVIDIA. And that includes a number of servers with L40 or H200 GPUs inside, some 100, 200 gig switching that supports it, but also the DG or DM storage in order to provide and prevent a storage bottleneck for data passing from data at rest to the GPUs for whatever the AI wants to do with it. So we have a number of different platforms that are scalable from very small to extremely large, depending on the kind of AI workloads that you're putting through there. And these are out-of-the-box solutions. We also have what's called an AI Innovators Program. And what's good about this is that we partner with software vendors to deliver pre-validated turnkey AI solutions. So businesses can deploy straight away AI without needing kind of like a team of data scientists in order to stand this up. So they can rely on the expertise that exists either with those software partners or with Lenovo's AI team in order to support those functions and features. And we have a lot of AI-centric software partners under there to deliver quite unique solutions, whether that's kind of people queuing analysis or production line analysis or inferencing at the edge in manufacturing. We have devices and partners in order to support that. So something that's really great about working at Lenovo is that they have a strong value of the partnership. And what I mean by that is we can provide outstanding hardware that's been optimized for all HPC, AI, insert workload here, right? But identifying the correct market-leading software partners in order to support those solutions is just as key. And Lenovo plays really strongly in that space as well. So we partner with the best of those software partners in order to provide an outstanding solution that's going to deliver exactly what the customer needs from that AI perspective. And again, without necessarily needing the team of AI specialists themselves in-house, which can be inherently quite expensive. But that's where the workforce transformation that we're talking about in your first question with regards to the challenges comes later. So let's get it up and running and they can start dabbling in that space and understand how they utilize AI within their organization to either increase productivity or improve
Quality
control. Absolutely, it's probably the best way to look at it. And then they can develop and grow in that space at the same time. So whether you're building models or running inferencing at the edge or scaling AI in the cloud, then Lenovo has hardware and ecosystems to support your journey.
How do you perceive the advancement of quantum computing over the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a tricky question. So quantum computing is probably one of the most exciting frontiers of technology. We'll call it a frontier because it's not quite ready for mainstream business use just yet, in my kind of personal view, but it has enormous potential. So I see quantum computing as kind of a complement to, I suppose, what we'd call classical computing, for want of a better phrase, but not necessarily a replacement. So I see it being used for very specific, very complex problems, like molecular modeling or cryptography or optimization, kind of that kind of space. Lenovo already kind of supports quantum research through our high-performance computing platforms. So what we can do with those HPC platforms is actually simulate quantum environments, which can help then research develop quantum algorithms for the quantum computing solutions thereafter. So in effect, we're kind of preparing ourselves, our people, and somebody else's people for using those quantum models going forward. So exploring hybrid computing models with our classical HPC next to quantum systems working together is probably where I see Lenovo's future in quantum computing. That might not necessarily be Lenovo's leadership views, but that's kind of my view. I don't think we'll see that classical computing element go away at all. And I think this is where, certainly within the next decade, we'll see the real breakthroughs happening in that space. But it's a very complex topic. So it goes into some serious detail. But our ability to solve ultimately the world's problems by aligning a single complex issue to quantum computing, saying solve this, and it can then crunch through numerous iterations. I think we'll see, certainly within next 10 years, with the forefront of technology moving as fast as it is, I think we'll see some serious challenges being overcome pretty rapidly. Hopefully, the cybersecurity one, but maybe not. But we'll have to see. I'm sure those threat actors will always find a way. But they're as resourceful as the leading vendors in that space as well, and that's what we have to remember: is that we're not fighting people in their mom's basements anymore. These are organizations with HR issues themselves.
Sophisticated.
Yeah.
People know Lenovo from their laptops and desktops. What other systems and benchmarks do Lenovo provide? Because when I watch Formula One, and I do watch Formula One, I see a badge saying Lenovo, but behind that badge, there's a whole plethora of technology that you guys develop, build, manufacture.
Yeah, I mean, Lenovo are extremely proud of their leadership in PCs. It's a very, very, very credible hat to wear. But you're right, our portfolio goes far beyond just what we see in front of us. So, for example, in the data center, we have industry-leading servers from a standard x86 platform through to the large high-end high-performance computing. We have storage devices as well. So what I mean by storage, either appliances, disk-based appliances, that includes storage area networks, JBODs, tape, you name it. I said we cover that entire swathe of infrastructure capability to stand up all the solutions that we've just been talking about. And ultimately, everything that goes through these things kind of gets powered by these back-end infrastructure. And Lenovo has the capability to provide that. And it all comes under what we call our ThinkSystem brand. So ThinkSystem servers are consistently top benchmark performers on things like the spec and SAP performance benchmarks as well. So they've been a fairly high runner in the most reliable servers on the market for quite some time. Our storage devices as well, certainly in that entry to mid-range level storage, have been front runners from that perspective as well. So we support it's like I said at the beginning, nobody else can support that cloud to pocket infrastructure design like Lenovo can today. It's certainly here in the UKI. It's one of the only organizations, including the mobile. Let's not forget that Lenovo acquired Motorola as a brand, but we also released fairly recently the Think phone as well as part of that Think range. So that Think brand then continues on from the pocket through to client, through to data center and beyond, wherever that might be. So Lenovo's also a global leader in high performance computing. So we provide more systems into the top 500 supercomputer list than any other vendor out there. So we have an extremely strong pedigree in high performance computing, and we have the use cases and the technology to back that up. We've also developed a strong portfolio in edge compute as well, where we see robo or manufacturing, and people want to do more closer to the action. So developing a robust portfolio of edge products made complete sense, especially where people might want to be doing inferencing at the edge. So being able to implement a GPU into these edge devices and a camera-based inferencing system. And again, this went, to your earlier point about quality control. How do I have a camera looking at my production line to make sure I'm picking out any anomalies within that production line faster than any human could probably do it, because the camera will spot it immediately, and the inferencing at the edge can deliver these kind of platforms. So having a strong compute platform at the edge to support that was paramount. Otherwise, it just would fall down. And then kind of finally, as kind of a wrapper to all of those things, Lenovo has TruScale. So TruScale is our as a service model. We can fulfill just about anything Lenovo does under an as a service model with TruScale, giving businesses access to all their infrastructure with all the kind of cloud-like flexibility that they'd want in terms of scalability, with predictable costs to go with it. And alongside TruScale comes people like those customer success managers who will have those quarterly updates with the business, or proactively identify any shortfalls in their infrastructure that they may need to update. Either they're running out of compute, storage, networking, or all three, and they said, we now need to scale your business up because you're growing faster than you expected it to, or even maybe it's declined. If a business has declined for any particular reason, then you can kind of consolidate at the same time. So it's kind of got that stretchy aspect to it. So TruScale is an incredibly flexible service for all our wrappers, really.
So one of the things I'd like to touch on is, and we've mentioned, is your range of edge servers, and what makes Lenovo edge servers a great option for a company looking at AI on the edge.
Okay, I mean, it's a great question. I was there for Lenovo's original release of edge servers in the SE350. I remember presenting it at London Olympia. I was at an Arrow event, and I pulled it out of a rucksack. And I was talking about VMware at the edge, so virtualization at the edge, and I simply was talking about the ESX stack and how we can virtualize. And I pulled this thing out of a rucksack and I said, we can now do this on this device. And people started listening at that point. I think the eyes suddenly locked on. It was just a case of, that's new. So they're kind of packed full of fantastic features, and Lenovo has since that point has only really just gone strength to strength with its edge platform. And these kind of will really resonate with sort of enterprise needs as well. So I guess the first point is they're compact and rugged. These are some of these devices are designed to work in difficult environments, either by dusty or from a temperature, either low or high temperatures that are not normal for a data center perspective. Or even in tight locations as well. When you think about something like the SE350 and how small that is, or even smaller with regards to some of those edge-compliant devices, I'm thinking retail. We're thinking manufacturing floors. These are not data center device-friendly environments, especially where these things might be air-cooled. So they could even be outdoors. Outdoor kiosks, for example, could be utilizing these edge devices. I mean, if we think about Lenovo's branding in Formula One, and where teams may be using systems trackside in order to help with
Data
real-time analytics.
Yeah.
We have to consider the dust, the vibration, and the temperature extremes that these systems are going to go through, and Lenovo's edge device portfolio is perfectly designed for that prospect. So next to their kind of the ruggedness, I suppose, of the edge, for want of a better word, for the edge platforms, there's also the AI and GPU optimizations. So they're perfectly designed to run AI workloads at the edge. So all that inferencing at the edge, supporting the real-time analytics that we just mentioned, but also things like video processing and machine learning as well. So we can do all that where the action is occurring, rather than having to ship that data back to the cloud to do analysis and then back again, which is inherently a slow process. Customers can attain real value out of their data immediately. So we're really condensing that time to value on that data platforms, no matter what they're using that data for, whether it be a monetary value or a performance tweaking perspective. It's worth mentioning that because of that, performance-wise, they're no slouch either. They have powerful processors, and I think it's worth mentioning that we support Qualcomm, AMD, and Intel in our edge devices as well, which I'm not sure if anybody else is doing that at the moment, certainly on all three of those processor platforms. But also fast NVMe storage and up to sort of 64 gigs of DDR5 memory in an edge device as well. So they can handle those demanding tasks that you're expecting of them at pace and with relative ease, like you'd expect from a data center server. So securing that with local encryption, tamper-proofing. If you think there's a tamper-proof switch in the box, even to the point where if it's been pulled off of its stand and it's been moved about, and it can lock down the data as well, which will then need to be unencrypted by the administrator. So all the compliance-ready security protocols that you would need at the edge in case someone decides to and walk off with this particular box for any particular reason. But that we got to remember that threat actors can occur in any shape, form, or fashion, even if it's walking out with physical hardware. If you think about a retail shop, a disgruntled worker may pick up a box and go, "I'll take that with me," because it's got valuable data on it that someone's going to want somewhere else. So make it tamper-proof, and it locks down that data the moment it recognizes it's been moved outside of its environment. Thanks very much. We'll end that straight away. Connectivity is probably another strong point of those particular systems as well. So we've got high-speed wired options, PCIe expansion within it, but also remote management tools like xClarity Administrator. So xClarity Administrator is a sort of a centralized resource management solution that's designed to simplify and streamline the administration of any of Lenovo's data center infrastructure. It just allows organizations to have that single pane of glass management perspective on those systems. I mean, we can talk about that and some of the other features of that later on, but the ultimate kicker is they integrate seamlessly with all your hybrid cloud environments from an edge perspective. So your business can sort of process data locally while syncing it with their cloud infrastructure in order to maintain continuity where needed. And it all translates to lower latency, better security, reducing your cloud costs, which is a big thing, especially where we're seeing cloud costs escalate with more data that's being pumped out, and then more resilient operations, local operations as well. So this is exactly what businesses are looking for in today's kind of fast-paced, data-driven world. Then the edge platform, in collaboration with a customer's hybrid cloud infrastructure, is perfectly situated to deliver time to value.
Can you tell us a little bit about your Neptune water cooling?
Yes, actually, because so it's worth mentioning that Neptune is our advanced liquid cooling technology. Lenovo has a pedigree and we spoke about this before, in high performance computing, and kind of the water cooling technology was born from that kind of perspective. This is a real game changer for data centers, certainly in terms of sustainability. So there's a marketing slide out there that states about 25% in terms of savings, sustainability savings, where using water-cooled systems, where traditional air cooling is kind of reaching its limits. especially as servers become more powerful and larger workloads are pumped into them, either data analytics, high performance computing, AI, for example. So Neptune uses kind of a direct-to-node warm water cooling to remove heat more efficiently from the device. It ultimately allows for denser configurations and higher performance and lower energy consumption in a rack unit. So this is reducing the need for expensive air conditioning as well. So it's twofold, really. We've got some very innovative customers out there who have actually plumbed the Neptune systems into their building heating because it's warm water in, hot water out. They can pass that water wherever they wish to if they want to. And I thought the innovation and sustainability design by putting that into an office heating environment was outstanding. I didn't think of that, but when this particular customer presented this as a solution, it was a phenomenal use case, and I'll quite happily coin that one going forward as well. So it's worth mentioning that Neptune's already deployed in some of the world's most powerful supercomputers to date. If you look at the Barcelona supercomputer, for example, we've got Neptune systems in there that are available to see. It's quite something to go see as well, even if it's just for the cabling, which is a work of art, frankly. This ultimately helps organizations achieve both performance and sustainability goals, which are two of the front-of-mind options for C-level individuals within organizations. So Lenovo sponsored some IDC research where we went out to over 3,000 decision makers and C-level individuals within businesses. Certainly within their top 5 was staff productivity. Mm-hmm. So how do we improve that? And ultimately that means hybrid AI working. So how do I integrate AI into my day-to-day, either by using Copilot to help make an email more professional or to help structure our thoughts for a day or a plan or planning. Sustainability was also up there. How do I create a more sustainable environment? And more sustainable infrastructure, especially where, again, governments are pushing this kind of green processes. How do we become a greener business ultimately? And water cooling directly affects that sustainability level alongside things like our CO2 offset services as well. So I think that's really helpful.
I want to add, this isn't your first rodeo on Neptune, is it? You've been I think is this the 4th iteration or the 5th iteration?
Yeah. So it's quite far down the lines. Actually, as part of that, I mentioned earlier, we made an announcement around our storage range on the 23rd of April. So 66% of our storage range refreshed. Something that came alongside that was our hyperconverged infrastructure V4 boxes. What's important with that is this is a first to market with a water-cooled Neptune-led hyperconverged infrastructure. So our VX, MX, and HX, which is the VMware stack, the Nutanix stack, and Microsoft stack hyperconverged appliances, we can now do direct water-cooled systems utilizing the Neptune systems to support hyperconvergence. And as part of that, one of the first solutions that Lenovo has now launched, and again, towards that productivity statement, is a GPT in a box solution in partnership with Nutanix. So we've co-developed, co-engineered, and support this solution with Nutanix from a deployment perspective to deliver a GPT solution to organizations where they want to explore that because, again, it helps with productivity, but they're not sure how to stand that up. So ultimately, we can go, right, here's an option for you. It's going to deliver a GPT-type solution on premises, so any of that secure data or critical application data that you want to maintain on premises because you don't like the idea of a multi-tenancy cloud, then that's absolutely fine. Create that hybrid cloud environment utilizing Nutanix's hypervisor system in a water-cooled environment as well. So yes, it's a very strong history and research and technology and design has gone into the build of Neptune. So there's a number of different ways you can do it. Either the kind of the node-based water cooling, which is it's enclosed like a radiator type system that you might find in a gamer's PC at home where they're using a water cooling system, or the hyperconverged infrastructure uses the direct water cooling systems. That's the warm water in, hot water out circular system. So it requires a little bit of extra thought in terms of architectural design, because you now need to take into account plumbing, but ultimately it'll be far easier, and the amount saved in time over time from a water cooled system is significant. So a quarter of your outgoings, potentially to up to 25%, can be saved by implementing a water cooled solution over an air cooled system. So it's kind of that. So it's a perfect example of how Lenovo is innovating not just at the device level, but across our kind of entire IT ecosystem, really.
Well, Tim, that comes to the end of it. From Fortuna, we'd like to say thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much, Ray. I
And
appreciate
we look forward to seeing you again.
All right, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.